Hello everybody, and welcome to the video notes for Unit 4, Day 10. And today we're going to be talking about variable properties. Today's video is dedicated to Aranza in 6C. Hi Aranza. In today's video you might notice there's a little bit of background music going on. This is just something I'm trying out. At the end of today's video, when we're all finished, I'll ask you guys if you like it, and if you do, that's great. If not, if it's too distracting, then we won't do it anymore. Just trying it out. Okay, so we started by making a guess, and you picked some number and you put it in all these blanks, and you would have noticed that it's true in all these cases. And if you take a variable, whatever variable you pick, it's also going to be true for that variable. And so in each of these expressions are certain properties that are always going to be true. The first one is here, the additive identity property of 0. So if we break this down, additive, right, that means we're adding something. Identity means whatever you start with is the same thing that you end up with. And we know we also are going to be working with a 0. And so our example that we're going to start with is if you have some variable like a, and then you add 0 to it, plus 0. This is a 0 here. You're going to end up with a. So this is an identity expression because you start with the same thing you end up with. And what this means is, when you add 0 to a number, the value stays the same. So for some number examples of this property, when you add 0, the number stays the same. We can pick any numbers we want. So let's say we pick the number 12, right? 12 plus 0. It's going to stay the same. It's going to be equal to 12. Or if you pick some number like 514, you add 0. It's going to stay the same. Identity expression. You end up with 514. Now let's write in some variable expressions. Let's say you have the variable x, and you add 0 to it. The value of x is going to stay the same. The expression is going to stay the same. It's just going to be x. Choose any other variable you want. Let's say the letter z as your variable. Z. If you add 0 to it, the expression is going to stay the same. It's also going to be equal to 0. So, additive property of 0, when you add 0, the value of the expression stays the same. Okay, let's go to the right one. The multiplicative identity property of 1. Let's break it down. Multiplicative, right? That's a fancy way of saying multiplying. So we know we're going to be dealing with multiplication. Identity, whatever you start with is the same thing you end up with. Property is like the rule, and of 1. So we know we're going to have the letter 1. The example we're going to be thinking about is if we have a, and we multiply the a times 1, what are we going to end up with? Well, it's going to stay the same. And the expression is going to also be equal to a. Now that you have this example, and you can look back at this example here on the left, right here, I actually want you to try and fill out the rest of this part on your own. So here, here, and here. We're going to pause, look at this example if it helps, and see if you can figure out those three. So you're pausing and trying it on your own. And now you are resuming the video to check your work. This property means when you multiply by 1, and if your words aren't exactly the same, but it's pretty close, that's fine. When you multiply by 1, the value stays the same. Okay. And you should have tried some number examples and variable examples on your own. I'll give you one. One number example might be 13 times 1. It's going to stay the same, and this will also equal 13. All right, the rest I really want you to do on your own, so I'm not going to give you any more. You can fill this out. Give me 2 examples for each one. And we're moving on. Now to the bottom left, the commutative property of addition and multiplication. Okay, so what this one is saying, first what I want you to do is to draw a line kind of in the middle here, because we're going to do 2 examples. And the first example is going to be, if I have A, make sure you give yourself a lot of space here, because we're going to use all of it, plus B, that's going to be the same thing as B plus A. And with multiplication, if I have A times B, remember this dot right here means times or multiplication, A times B, that is the same thing as B times A. And what this means is, when adding the order doesn't change the value. When you're adding, I can have a number like 3 plus 5, that's 8. If I change the order of it and make it 5 plus 3, that's also going to be equal to 8, so the value doesn't change. I've got my E here. So when you're adding, the order doesn't change the value. And then next to this, we're going to say same with multiplying. Same with multiplying. Sorry, kind of running out of space here. I have to write small. So what that means is, let's say you have 3 times 5. If we change the order of it and made it 5 times 3, well, 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 3 is 15. Changing the order doesn't change the value. Okay, now I want you on your own write 2 examples using variables. And we're going to move on to the last one. Division and fractions. Here's the example we're going to be working with. If you have A, and you take that and divide it by B, that is going to be equal to A as the numerator and B as the denominator as a fraction. And what this is telling us is that you can always rewrite, you can rewrite division as a fraction. I'll give you one number example. We can have 6 divided by 3. That's the same thing as 6/3, or 6 over 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. If I have 6/3, let me make this a little bit clearer that this is a 3 here. 6/3 is also 2 wholes. So that's the same thing as this. On your own, write another number example, and then write 2 examples with variables. And those are the 4 properties that we're learning today. The secret word is going to be bat, B-A-T. The secret word is bat. Okay, thank you.